Welcome back, everybody, to the Derby City Fandom podcast. Today, we are going to be doing our first impressions of the newest Marvel series to hit the market so far, Secret Invasion.
Loved it.
Yeah. So we're going to give our general opinions on the first episode, maybe some insights on the comic that it's based off of, released back in 2008. I do believe that the writer of the comic is also involved in the show. And
Yes.
I feel like Colin probably has some notes on that. I digress. Colin, has IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes already rated this first episode?
They have. Y'all want to take some guesses, or you want me to just come out with it?
85%.
86.
You fucker.
Interesting. Both of you are wrong.
Naturally,
Rotten
but
Tomatoes with the first episode is actually a low 64%.
Is that the critics?
That's the critics. And
Really?
IMDb at
Critics
a
are idiots.
7.2 out of 10.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting too.
By chance, did you see, why? Did you look up any of the reviews? Because I do have, one complaint, and I think it might be what they're complaining about.
Oh, go
Was
ahead.
it
I'll tell you
Nick
if you're wrong.
Fury's particular lines in this episode?
I think what the critics are saying is basically, I don't actually quite remember, but I do remember something along the lines of that it's not meeting everybody's expectations, as in,
Were they actually expecting what's going down in the comics?
I think there's more
what
of
went down, I should
an
say.
issue with Fury and the blip and all of that.
Oh,
I think that's where people are kind of getting confused and giving bad ratings. I could be wrong.
fair enough.
I don't know. I give it a good rating so far. It's only been one episode. I really enjoyed it. I love the Marvel series. I think they're still doing a phenomenal job with it. So
Sure.
I am a fan.
I agree with the
appreciate, but-
IMDb rating. I would give it probably a low 7. I wouldn't go more than an 8. No, I would stick in the 7 range for sure.
Okay.
Why would you give it a low 7?
I mean, it's the first episode.
Yeah.
It's going to leave you in suspense. I'm not going to give it a 10 out of 10 on the first episode.
Of course not. Then there's no. Then there's
I mean,
nothing
there's
to
some
actually
things that
expect, yeah.
obviously that I have questions about, and that's the whole point of me watching the series, because there's only 6 episodes
Yes.
in this series.
Which I want to say I enjoy because, from what I understand, each of these are basically going to be about an hour long.
Yes.
Yeah, there's not many of them. I think there's only 6
Yeah,
episodes.
there's only
There
6.
are
He's
only
correct.
6.
So this film, or I say film, this series is a particular, I guess, sequel to both the Captain Marvel film and I guess just where the MCU is progressing time-wise.
Right. So I kind of did a little
Did some research.
Did some research. That's what I'm trying to say. Synopsis, if you will, of what it's about. So, Secret Invasion follows up basically on the events of Captain Marvel, most prominently Nick Fury's relationship with the Skrulls. So that's
Yes.
what I got.
Yes,
pretty much off the
our
internet.
lovely, friendly, shape-shifting alien race.
Can't trust them.
But
know,
who can you trust?
I mean, we meet.
Spoiler alert.
we meet Talos, who reveals that the Skrulls are a species of refugees just looking, for a new home.
Sure, yeah.
But for those that don't know what the Skrull species is really about, so the Skrulls lived on Skrulls
Yes.
until it was destroyed during a war with the Kree, right?
Yep.
And so,
Or with Galactus or with Thanos, depending on which line you're going with. But
sure. So, where I'm going with this, the Kree basically included Danvers, Carol Danvers.
Yes.
Because she is of that species, race, right? And so before she became, cognizant of basically her past, and the Korean Skrulls are at war because the Skrulls basically refuse to submit themselves to Kree rule. So that's basically what this whole war is about. And so
this is all the aftermath of that.
So the first thing that I kind of want to dive into is the intro, the actual like intro for the series.
Oh, very artistic. I loved it.
That's a good
So-
start. I didn't care for it. But
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we're 50-50 here. All right, so that's actually kind of one of the things that has been going on the internet is there's people that are 100%, not 100%, but they didn't like it or they did like it. And so I kind of looked up like some of the reasons why people didn't like it. I, for one, actually enjoyed it, and I kind of agree with the director on why he did it. But the intro has not been well received, is what I made a note here. And Marvel used an AI tool, basically.
Yeah, that's
to
mostly
generate-
why people,
Yeah,
from what I
so-
understand,
yeah,
don't
they
like
used
it.
the AI tool to generate the images, and director Ali Salim, I hope I'm saying that name right, justified these by saying it strongly relates to the series itself, and I agree with that.
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah.
you're going to have people that are actually Skrulls and they are pretending to be a particular individual, you should show that in the intro. Whether it's,
You also
drawn
get the
out or
extra
animated.
You also get the weird extra step of you can't tell if a human made it or not. Right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly. So I actually thought it was very creative. The color scheme and everything, I actually enjoyed it.
Oh
So,
yeah, very green,
yeah.
very Skrull. You gotta love it.
all right, my turn.
Okay,
Go
your
ahead.
turn.
Go ahead. That's why you're here.
I guess at the end of the day, I'm indifferent. Like, it wasn't the reason I loved the episode, and I don't think an intro would like make me hate a series or an episode.
No,
And keep in mind, I had no idea when I first saw it. I had no clue that it was AI generated. So like I didn't have a clue. But I later on, I did read about that, and I read the same kind of articles that you did, Colin, probably regarding the AI creation of it, and like maybe hate it a little bit more. But taking that aside, it didn't appeal to me. I don't think it was as visually appealing as people thought. Like, it looked very fake and cheap.
well, it
And it just wasn't
supposed
my-
to look fake.
Okay, I mean, like, maybe that's the case, and I just missed it.
That's
but
the entire idea behind this scroll, is that it's fake, but it's supposed to be convincing.
I don't know. I just read through the bullshit. I just like it just seemed kind of cheap. Like, maybe there was more to the story, and they were trying to apply it. I just was it.
I mean, at some degree, you're also just kind of pulling hairs, right?
Yeah, like I'm definitely splitting hairs here. Like I love the first episode, and I'm looking forward to the series. So like I'm indifferent. I don't really care. They can keep using this, but I will say like I'm a fan of the intros. Like I've always really liked the variety of intros, and the music behind it, and the effort and the talent. So like maybe I need to research it a little bit more and like connect the dots, and maybe as more episodes go on, it will appeal to me more. But I wasn't a fan of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So let me ask this question: did either of you two watch Captain Marvel?
Yep.
So I know Talos is
I think it's Talos.
Talos, Talos, like the friendly Skrull working with Fury and them. He's like the one returning character from that film, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, Nick,
Well, I guess Nick
Nick
Fury
Fury.
is too,
yes, correct.
but he's the only one out of the very few that seem to actually be sympathetic to, I guess, the whole idea of not taking over another planet.
Well, that's why I liked it. I mean, it's definitely only been one episode, but it's kind of behind the curtain, behind the scene. I mean, Nick Fury is the spy. So we're trying to connect the dots and figure
Yes.
out who to trust, who not to trust. Like, whoever said that Nick Fury's the good guy. I don't know. I guess that's kind of my logic and why I'm really enjoying this, because I haven't really I'm not saying I believe that, but I'm excited to see, because I'm sure there's other people that are aligned with the humans.
Sure. So
But we'll see.
one of the fun things with the Skrull in particular is that while they can transform their appearance to be any human that they see, they still have to see them like in person. They can't just see like a photograph. So it's interesting because towards the end of the film, we do see one of the Skrull just kind of like really fuck with Fury by transforming into all these different people in the crowd.
Yeah.
And then finally into himself.
Yeah. Well, they're letting Fury know that they've been watching him the whole time. So they transformed into the little girl, right? And there was a couple other characters.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hey, motherfucker, we've been telling you this entire time."
Right. It's the idea that even like Talos, whatever, is upset with Fury that he hasn't upheld his end of the bargain, right? Now, that bargain, I guess, was in Captain Marvel, so I'm not too familiar with it. Colin might be able to shed some light there. But Talos is being very patient in a situation where he should not be anymore.
Yeah. So I think the bargain that they're alluding to is that Nick Fury and probably Captain Marvel to an extent have agreed with the Skrulls to help find them a new home.
Okay.
And it's been, 30 years since then?
Sure. Has it been? Is that
I think, Captain Marvel was based on the 80s,
It's been about 30 years since he made that promise, really. So where I think where Fury is inevitably going is building Saber, and I think that is in the long run where all the Skrulls, when they're eventually united under one banner, if you will, that's where they're going to live, is Saber.
Up on Saber? I think in the comics they do eventually find like another planet, and I think they just call it Skrulls 2. Which is
very original.
Yeah. Was that created by AI as well?
Possibly, who knows? Created by Jarvis or whatever the non.
See, that's why I'm so interested in him. It's like you don't know what Nick Fury's up to. You don't know what game he's playing. If he's even playing a game, is he too old for the game? You just don't know. Like maybe Nick Fury had a background of like why the Skrulls haven't found a new home yet.
Yeah,
maybe he's been using the Skrulls. So
let's start in the beginning.
Yes.
Sure.
So we're basically introduced to Martin Freeman.
Yep.
Martin Freeman.
Agent Ross.
And he is going to meet, what's his face?
Another operative.
Another Richard Dormer, Prescott. So he is an Irish actor, and he was in Game of Thrones, by the way.
Yes, he was.
Just an FYI.
Familiar.
So Prescott basically comes up with this theory and has some evidence to prove that the Skrulls are behind some terrorist attacks, essentially. And he shows some pretty hard evidence to Martin Freeman's character, Agent Ross. And turns out that Agent Ross is actually a Skrull.
Were you guys surprised by that?
No.
I mean, considering it's secret invasion.
Yeah, I'm like 100% from the very beginning when I started. I'm going to assume everyone is a Skrull until I'm told not.
Yeah,
and that's the unfortunate reality of this for us nerds is that everybody is a Skrull until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
And the only time you can prove otherwise is when they either transform back to their original skin or they're dead.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with you, Colin. I wasn't surprised on Agent Ross being a Skrull. But that doesn't end like all the questions have me. Like, how long has he been the Skrull? Like everything in the past, all the other Marvel movies, the Black Panther and whatever, Captain America, Civil War, all that. So how long has he been the Skrull? Like, what was his?
You see, that's the fun of it because you
internal
don't know.
You don't know, and I love that. I love we're trying to. It's like this. Oh my gosh, it's like this Sherlock Holmes game, and I love it. I'm trying to connect all the dots.
Right, and so basically we find out that he's a Skrull because he jumps off of a fucking building and
misses.
Yeah,
it's the
a pretty gruesome kind of
drops like 3 stories.
So do you all think he's still alive? Like you think there's another Agent Ross still running around?
Like the actual Ross? Yes.
I think
because of the scene that we see later.
Or do you think he's been a Skrull the entire time?
No.
I think it's another one of those situations where I'm going to kind of jump ahead in the story where you see them putting people into like little stasis pod sort of things, and they steal their identities and their memories. So you can't steal the memories of a dead person.
Okay, so you think he's kind of captured in one of those?
He's probably captured somewhere.
100%.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't connect that. Yeah, you're
Yep.
probably right.
Yep. And so you see Ross's dead body turn into a Skrull. And by the way, when
They just leave it there.
when they do that overhead shot, you see that the Skrull's leg is clearly broken.
But how did they get his body? He's hanging out with the
When you can-
Wakandans.
was he when the Skrull saw him? You don't know. It's been 30 years.
I'm just saying he should be out in Wakanda, right?
Yeah.
With the Black Panther.
But so in the comics, the idea is that not only is Shield part of Hydra, but Shield is also mostly Skrull. At least in Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I believe that. I like Colin's argument. It's like, assume everyone's a Skrull. There's so many questions.
I know.
So many questions.
I know. That's why.
That's what makes it a good series.
That's why it's
my
going to
opinion.
be a good series for sure. So obviously we see the Skrull die, and we see Agent Hill and Fury. And that actually, let's take a step back. We see Fury come out of the light, and you see that his figure is kind of
love that.
distorted.
And
Yeah.
the first thing
Do
he
we
does
want-
when he hits landfall, though,
I
is
love
that he
that.
limps. This man is old and beat up.
He looks
So-
raggedy. He looks shaggy.
So in one hand, I'm led to believe, yeah, he's coming from the space station Saber and coming down doing that little, whatever you want to call it.
Like his, like,
He's beamed down. He's, beam me up, Scotty kind of thing. And so you see that the shadow of Fury is kind of distorted. So it's kind of like, is he potentially changing from a Skrull into Nick Fury, or is it just Nick Fury and that's just how they want you to see it? I think the director, how it's made, they want you to question rather.
Yeah.
It's Nick Fury or a Skrull. Obviously, every time we've seen Nick Fury so far is he has his eye patch on, but in this case he does not. But you still see that scratch on his face.
You see his
So
blinded
clearly, if he was a Skrull, that Skrull had to see Nick Fury without his eye patch on. That's the only way
Yeah.
that could have been done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the eye patch would be on, and you wouldn't be able to tell.
I mean, he mostly wears that patch until Captain America, the second Captain America, right?
So the last
believe
time,
so.
Third one.
eye. Third or, yeah,
I don't know. Whatever. I don't know.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the last time we see Fury is Endgame for Tony Stark's funeral, right?
Correct, yes.
That's the last time we
I
see
guess
him.
in the present time, yes.
In the present
Because
time.
prior to that, you would see him
I guess in
get
Marvels.
blipped. And
Well,
then prior
okay,
to
and-
that, you see him in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
hold
guess
on.
the
My
Avengers
question
happened
is, do
before
the
then, but,
Marvels
you know.
that's coming out here soon, does that happen before, during, or after Secret Invasion?
I do not know the timeline.
So
of
if
it.
you know that, please leave a comment because I'm
I
kind
don't
of...
think they've disclosed that just yet.
So whenever that comes out, that's definitely something I'm very interested in. Or maybe he goes back up to Saber and, the whole Marvels.
Yeah, because
thing
Saber
happens.
is up there. That's in the trailer. They plastered that all over the beginning of the trailer.
Right.
They haven't gotten that trailer out of the cinemas just yet, so they're pushing that film hard.
So it makes you question, Nick Fury comes down suddenly from Saber.
And then the guest just goes back. Or not. Who knows?
I don't know. So later, obviously, we're introduced to Agent Hill, and we meet the president, who is what's his name, Dermot Maloney. He plays
Yes.
the president, which obviously
Skrull. They have scrolls written all over them.
Probably.
I'm gonna
Can't trust anybody.
Obviously, the president's gonna die.
Well, I'm glad you said
He'll
that.
get replaced.
I'm glad you said that, Colin, because it's another reason why so far I'm excited about this series. Because two reasons. A, I think this episode did a good job. I kind of put it on the same pedestal as like Hawkeye. And
Interesting, okay.
The reason I say that is it kind of reminds me more of like the street level spy connect the dots kind of fighting, like the street level fighting. So and I get it. People are gonna be like, "Well, the Skrulls are aliens." Jake, you're an idiot. I'm like, I get that, but it's like it's kind of bringing it back a notch, and I have a lot of respect for that. But the second reason I really liked it is it's brought back the mortality. So the very first thing that we've seen is Agent Ross, or the Skrull version of Agent Ross, is now dead. So we're brought to believe that Agent Ross, Martin Freeman, right?
Sure. I've
dead.
already forgotten.
And I think a lot
Dead
of times,
or at least stolen, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I love that aspect of it. Like, because before, there's just so much plot armor, and we've had it for Marvel for a long time. Like, and even the Guardians of the Galaxy, we talked a long time about that. It's like, oh man, some of these people they'll never kill off. But long and behold, the first episode, not only did we have one death, and we'll talk about the second death later, but like we had two major deaths, and it's like, man, anything's fair game, and I love that. It kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones. But
So, I guess I see where your head is at with that. My implication is that the actual president is the actual president. The actor that plays him, that's the real president. He is going to die. 100% that's going to happen. That is my prediction because
So you don't-
Harrison Ford, who ends up playing, he's going to end up being the president down the road. So
Yeah, so some of that is spoiled just in the casting, which is unfortunate.
well, it is what it is. But anywho, we see Don Cheadle, Rhodey, talking with the president there, and I thought,
You think he's a Skrull?
that's no, I don't
Hard
think
to
he
say.
is.
everyone online says he is though.
Don Cheadle or Rhodey.
Rhodey.
Well, so here's the
I don't
thing.
see it
That's
either.
always going to be like the cheap argument
I don't
because
see it
it's
either.
until proven otherwise. In the comics,
I may actually be kind of mad if they make
Yeah.
Rhodey a Skrull. I think that kind of ruins like Iron Man 1 for me. Like, it would piss me off.
well, it's another one of those things where you don't know when they would have been replaced if
Yeah.
they did.
That's true.
I would guess technically it would be Terrence Howard.
Whatever.
Was
Iron
it?
Man
I
2.
don't know. But
You know
That's
what I
Iron
mean.
Man 1.
yeah,
You know what I mean.
Anyways, so it's just like they make a big point, and not even in the Secret Invasion comic book line, but in a separate one, they actually have to go out of their way to develop a method to be able to identify Skrulls from humans. And it's something that it's like all this like weird science nonsense that just goes like beyond.
They do this on the comic book?
Yeah, where it's just like, okay, this thing is able to decide like who, or is able to determine who is actually human and who is not, basically off of like an atomic level. So it's because it's very
That's some
like
X-Men
it's
shit
very
right
like Mystique, where Mystique's whole gimmick is she can change her entire genetic structure to become the other person, like a perfect clone of that other person.
Yep.
And then the Skrull are basically the same thing, but in mass. So they then have to do some like extra shenanigans to try to explain away a way to be able to determine the two different species,
Fair enough.
which is its own thing. Because the only other way that you can determine a Skrull is that Skrulls are just inherently able to endure more radiation than a human being can, which is a point they bring up in the show, where we see like a fun little outcropping of them, that some of them want peace,
hanging
but
out,
most of them do not.
hanging out in Chernobyl.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring that up, but I think that's already a touchy subject because they're already doing most of the film in Russia.
What's not a touchy
Right.
subject is Nick Fury does not give a damn. So when the first scenes we see Colin is him and Talos, whatever, however you pronounce it, Talos. They're interrogating some dude, and Talos is trying to fight him, doing his best. Wants to get information from him, and Nick Fury says, "Yeah, fuck this shit. We'll just shoot this guy."
It's just like, yeah,
I
because
love
he
it.
was just like, leave it to me. It's
I
like,
love
this
it.
one's mine. Let me deal with it.
I mean,
And he gets his ass kicked. Fury just shoots him.
I mean,
And then Talos is just super depressed. It's just like, I told you to leave it to me.
mean,
And Fury just walks out of the room.
It's like, okay, man, I'm
he is-
human. I age.
He's
quicker
over.
than you.
He's like
I'm over it.
130, 150 years old. Keep that in mind. So, like,
Yeah, but in Kree, that's like 40s. Like, they even make a joke about that.
all right, you
Or
let me
in
know how
Skrull.
you feel fighting somebody at age 40. All right, buddy.
Well,
You're
I'll
not.
let
You're
you
not
know.
too far off. Just saying.
sure.
Neither am I. Jake, you're the youngest.
There you go.
I
and I
digress.
have the most gray hair.
somehow.
Yeah, you do.
You know what they say about gray hair?
But not the
Colin?
most hair. No, we're not doing that.
Nope. Do I need to end this podcast early? Just go
No,
ahead and roll the outro.
no.
Okay, back to the show.
All right, so we're introduced to Amelia Clark's character,
Yes.
Gaia.
I think she does a fantastic job, by the way.
I actually liked her character a lot.
Is she the daughter?
She's the
daughter.
daughter of the queen or king, whichever of
Queen.
Skrulls?
Queen.
Okay,
I think Queen.
She's not Talos' daughter?
No.
No, but the problem is like
I was
Talos.
confused on that.
Talos is like the well-meaning, like not related uncle kind of figure.
Okay.
Like Talos knew her mother. In this case, it's her mother, according to Colin, and like got along and was like an advisor or something. Like was able to like kind of watch over this girl the best he could.
Father figure. Yeah, I did not know that, so now I know. Every time I watched the episode, I was like, oh, that's
It only comes up like
father-daughter.
twice, so
It's not
kind
really.
of odd.
It's not really well described, but that's
Yeah.
kind of.
I'm sure it's not too important. Like we just need to know.
No,
that
I
there's a
think I
relationship
think it
there.
is. I think it will play a more important role further down the road. I'm drawing a blank currently.
Okay. It's weird because the episode description I'm looking at has Gaia listed as his daughter, but they're not related.
No, they're not.
So I think that's just a foible of
That's
Wikipedia.
how
Unless that's a spoiler, and we end up finding that.
That's
no,
how
but
I
he
interpret it.
has a daughter and a wife in Marvel. Or
Yeah, back on like they're like very dead though. I'm pretty sure. Cause
anyway, definitely not the daughter. Definitely not.
Anyways,
So I think Amelia Clark is. So here's my prediction with her character arc. So she's joined the what's the anarchist group, the terrorist group, whatever they're called.
The rebels.
the rebels. Have they given them an official name yet?
I don't think. I think
Don't
it's just
remember.
like Gravik's rebels. I think.
Because
No, it was.
they
like
bring up the Skrull Council.
America versus like Russia, kind of. I don't know. There's
That's-
some acronym that they say. I forget what it is.
I think they're just Skrull rebels. There's a Skrull council, but I think that's kind of more of the.
That's like the
Talos
overarching
is-
like governmental body. Of
Right.
Skrull.
So we see that she's on the bad side, right? And
she kind of goes double
Talos
agent.
and Gaia eventually meet up, and we find out that the person that killed her mother is the person that she is working for.
Oh.
Right.
Dun, dun,
And so
dun.
she kind of has this, whatever you want to call it, like, I'm actually not about this life anymore.
Change of heart, but she still kind of does like a double agent bit.
A little bit.
That we know. We don't know that for sure.
Well, the double agent aspect of it makes it for a good spy thing because that's always been like a weird little spy caveat.
I mean, that's kind of what this show is really all about. Is
Yeah, the espionage.
exactly. So she finds that out from Talos, and then she kind of helps them out a little bit by basically identifying who the couriers are for the bombs that are set to go off.
Yeah, which is weird that they make a big point to say that the bags are going to be marked with like an infrared sort of mark, whatever, right? But that is such like a needless detail because while the Skrull can see infrared if they want to, I feel like that particular aspect is purely just to throw them off as well. So that's where some fun double agent nonsense comes in because she agrees with Talos, but she also agrees with Gavik, our main villain.
Yeah.
Or Gravik, whichever.
Gravik.
Gravik.
But yeah, so she kind of, sprays them with this infrared kind of spray or whatever, and they're able to identify who the couriers are.
But then there's three of them.
But then there's three of them.
Do some fun bait and switch action. You get the party split up.
Exactly. And then
Exactly.
the bombs inevitably go off. And
The dirty bomb.
guy is nowhere to be found. Fury,
Russia. I'm sure they're going to blame the Americans.
Well, they're probably bombs go off, right?
It's not good.
They will blame the Americans. They're probably going to pin it all on Phil.
Phil.
I think her name's Phil, right?
Who?
Or the one chick that's dead that gets shot by.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Agent Hill.
Agent
Hill.
Hill. Agent Hill.
Shoot. Okay.
Who the hell is Phil? Is a guy's name, bro.
Agent Phil is the other Shield agent.
Phil Coulson.
Yeah.
That might be who I'm thinking of then.
Phil, Tony Stark's like, Phil. His first name's Agent.
No, Coulson.
Coulson. Yes.
Son of Cole.
Son of Cole.
He died forever ago.
Yeah,
No, so-
Colin, I thought of you when they killed off Agent Hill. I'm sorry, buddy. I know you're a big,
Were you a fan?
what's that? Kobe Smulders, is that her name?
Yeah, Kobe Smulders, How I Met Your Mother. Anyway,
man.
no, so I actually was not butthurt. I actually don't think she would have played a major role in the series at all, so I'm actually kind of not
do you
relieved,
mean?
but I'm not disappointed that she died.
It's a fucking spy series. I think she would have been perfect for this.
Hold on.
Hold
This is my reasoning why. She died because I think Amelia Clark is going to be... She's going to play a bigger role throughout
Well,
the
she
series.
has to.
She has to. I feel like she's a bigger known actor than Kobe Smulders. Now, granted, this is her first introduction into the Marvel universe as opposed to Kobe Smulders, obviously. But she's going to play a bigger role. She's going to do the whole, oh crap, I'm working for the bad guys. I'm going to go to the other team. But I think later on down the road, she's going to have like, I'm actually going to switch back over to the bad guys for a second because I have some ulterior motive kind of a thing. But then she's going to obviously realize, no, I'm actually on the good side. So something along the lines of that, I think, is going to happen. Now,
I got a crazy fan theory in that regards.
go ahead.
So, because Hill is dead, there is only one person that Fury can actually trust, and that's Talos. Everyone else he knows has either been captured at this point or is dead. And thus, he's left basically all by himself.
Interesting. But hold on. Before we dive into that, and this only proves my point, since Agent Hill was killed, if she was in fact a Skrull, when she was killed, she would have turned into a Skrull.
Yes.
So therefore, she was never a Skrull to begin with. She's always been Agent Hill. So boom, shakalaka.
At least that one. She might...
Is she dead?
She dead.
Human one,
think she's
yes.
dead?
She
The human
dead.
one, yes.
I think she is dead. There's no way they're going to... There's no way she's coming back. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Unless they kind of did like a Nick Fury thing and she faked her own death and eventually...
No, she got very shot in the abdomen.
Right. So that's why I agree that she is very much dead.
So I guess the only side thing I can think of there is that I'm pretty sure the actress was Kobe Smulders.
Kobe Smulders.
Smulders, thank you.
Just like X-Files.
Yes. I think she was only credited for like the one episode, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
she was credited as same thing with Martin Freeman.
So I think that's another like spoiler where she's only credited for being in the one episode out of the
What's it
six,
called?
right?
Guest appearance. I don't know. Whatever.
Cameo.
Cameo
Cameo.
or reprising their role, however you want to phrase it, right?
We'll see. I'm still not convinced she's dead. Like I'm sure she's dead for the time being, but I don't know.
How would she come back?
Yeah. Is she going to come back as a Skrull, or do you think they're going to just
Marvel,
magic her
man.
back alive?
Multiverse. I don't know.
The blip's already happened.
The blip already happened. Yeah. She's dead. She's dead.
Yeah.
She dead.
Colin and I have a little bet.
She's
going
currently
on.
bleeding on
Wait,
the
have a
floor
bet?
in Russia.
Hold on, pause. He said we're gonna have a bet. What's the bet, Jake?
Okay,
We're
let's
gonna
hear
have a
this
little
bet.
I don't
I am
know.
the witness.
Whatever
Go
you
ahead.
want. Kenny's the witness. I think she returns.
Where do you go?
How?
Bet?
What are your?
I don't need to know how.
What are your
I don't
stakes?
know. I don't think she's dead.
What are your stakes?
What's the stakes? What do you want? Taco Bell?
Is this for real?
Yeah, I think she's coming back. I
If
don't
she
think
comes
she's
back,
dead.
all right. If she comes back, I shave my head. But if she doesn't, you shave yours.
No, I'm not doing that.
Then there's no bet.
You're not
That's the
confident
only
then.
way I'm going to do any bet with you.
No bet. But I think she's coming back.
She's not coming
Weak.
back.
Okay. As the bald man in the room.
Let us know in the
weak.
comments if you think she's actually dead or not.
She's dead.
Like she's very much bleeding out in front, like in Moscow's like parade area.
But anyway, with as far as the antagonist goes with
Yes.
Gravik, Kingsley, I actually like that actor. I've seen him in other
roles.
I enjoy the actor. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what kind of shenanigans he can
What
bring
else
to the
has
table.
he been in? He looks very familiar. I thought about that when I was.
Look it up.
Oh, Malcolm X. Okay. One Night in Miami. Gotcha. Okay, I was like, man, this guy looks familiar. Where have I seen him?
That's
Okay.
where you've seen him. But other than that, yeah, I definitely loved I enjoyed the first episode for sure.
Yeah.
I loved it, man. I thought it was entertaining. I really liked it. So I was surprised to hear these low, kind of like the low ratings.
It is first episode low ratings, though, right? Because I do believe that this film, I keep calling this a film, this little mini-series is going to definitely go places. The 2008 comic book goes all over the place. Like, we see the introduction of at least one of the introductions of Super Skrull, which
Super
would be
Skrull.
fun. I think that this mini-series in particular, I'm going to throw out some crazy fan theories, is going to be how they introduce the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Because the Skrull are like one of their big main villains, especially Super Skrull. Because Super Skrull has the collective powers of all of the Fantastic Four. Like, that's his gimmick.
Yeah.
At least a particular Super Skrull. There's multiple Super Skrulls, but they've always just been called Super Skrull. Of which they have individual names, which I can't be bothered to remember their names because they're in an alien language, and I have no idea how to pronounce them. But that's always kind of a fun thing. Like, we might see, like, Scarlet Witch's, like, kind of, like, Fantastic Four. Like, we could see, what's his name, come back as Mr. Fantastic. Somebody knows the name of that actor.
Oh, John Krasinski.
Yes, thank you.
I
about to
seriously
say, yeah.
had a blonde moment just then. I was like,
I was about
who
to
are
say
we talking about?
Jim Halpert.
But I think this might be his proper introduction to the MCU outside
go.
of the Scarlet Witch stuff in Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah.
I can definitely see a Avenger cameo happening. Now, rather that be like, Hawkeye or what's her face?
I think one of the few Avengers that the Skrull don't
She-Hulk?
try to like copy is like Thor.
Really?
Yeah, he's one of the few that they struggle copying because Thor can just like blip out of places and has like thunder control, and the Skrull don't necessarily have that.
Do you think, Kenny or Colin, both of you, this series, so that we have 5 episodes left, do you think there's going to be other, like a big name cameo? Who do you think we're going to see?
That's what I'm saying. Is there's going to be an Avenger cameo. Now, who that's going to be, I don't
it's
know.
going to be Thor. I would
mean-
love to see Peter Quill since he's
You
on
think
Earth.
Peter Quill is going to be one?
Oh my god!
So I know
I would be so excited.
I know
if
like
he
one
showed
of
up.
the big ones that the Skrull impersonate is Captain America, which is fun because the Skrull are also, they're not like super strong, but they're like stronger than humans by far.
Sure.
So I guess they just get the jump on Captain America and they're able to steal his shield. Now, in this, I guess, particular MCU, where it's the other guy, I'm blanking on his name. It's not Chris Evans.
Oh, that's
Chris
what I was going to ask you. Do you think it's going to be Chris Evans or
Hemsworth?
Anthony Mackie?
Is it Anthony Mackie? The
Black
one that
guy?
inherits... Yes,
Yeah,
thank
Anthony
you.
Mackie, yeah.
Gosh, I need to
So do you think
go
it's going
back
to be Chris
and
Evans?
learn all these names
I don't know what
again.
I'd do if Chris Evans showed up. I'm like, oh my God.
No, I definitely think
I
there's
don't
gonna
think he's
be-
been credited already.
There's going to be an Avenger cameo, and I could see Hawkeye or Black Widow, maybe. I don't know.
Black Widow would be a good choice.
I'm still rooting for Peter Quill. He's on Earth. He's back
on
home.
Earth. Yep, chilling with Grandpa.
Or Spider-Man. I'm cool with Spider-Man.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but nobody knows who Spider-Man is, right? The Skrull wouldn't
Nick
because
Fury was off planet Earth, though.
yeah,
You would.
yeah. Man, we bring this every time. Bring this up every time. But it's like it's Nick Fury, the Hulk, Captain Marvel are the only ones that know.
Peter Quill.
Peter Quill, technically. I guess any of the Guardians, but I think Quill was the only one that was actually on whatever the planet was when they were trying to arm wrestle the gauntlet off of Thanos.
Yeah. Alrighty, I'm
was
excited
Titan.
about this.
Titan. Thank you.
I'm excited about this series. I'm really looking forward to it. I thought the first episode was great. I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Yes.
So are we gonna do a mid season kind of review, or are we gonna just wait till the last episode and do a review?
I don't know. I'll leave that up to you all.
I would love to do a mid-season review.
Okay.
let's
You
do it.
heard it here
We're gonna
first.
do
We'll
that.
get a mid-season.
Unless it just takes a deep turn south. And
I mean,
shit.
I could-
we could still do a mid-season there. We'll just bash it. But
So it's like mid-season is
Two episodes away.
2 episodes away. So it's like that's not even all that far. Yeah, so I
right,
guess
so we'll
expect
see you guys in
to,
a
expect
couple
to hear
weeks.
us sometime after the 4th. We'll probably take a little break for the 4th.
may the
What?
4th be with you.
That is
Only a couple
that
months
is,
off,
That is
bud.
in May,
Yes.
not July.
Oh gosh. Okay? Ending of the episode here. Show's good. Go watch it. Support these people. It is a fun ride so far. I don't care what the critics say. It has some good spy action going on. We'll see if Samuel L. Jackson can still portray the character.
Colin may or may not be a Skrull. We'll
Yes.
find out later.
I can't trust any of you all.
Exactly.
That's why I'm kicking you out of my house. All right. So, everybody, thank you for listening. You can find our podcast anywhere that you can stream podcasts from, primarily Google, Spotify, and a handful of other ones as well. Find us on Facebook and Instagram
And YouTube.
and YouTube. I mean, you're probably listening to this on YouTube, but you
Maybe
know,
not. Maybe
whichever.
Spotify.
Or not. Who knows? Surprise us wherever you're listening to this to.
Don't forget to rate us.
Rate us,
Give us
like
a 5
us.
star, 4 star, 1 star. I really don't care. Just rate us.
Yes, we appreciate it. And with that, have a nice day.
See you, everybody.